Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 93 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended flat earthers are so amazingly primitive that they still think that sextants are a pretty neat idea. This planet has a problem, which was this: most of the flat earthers living on it were unhappy for pretty much all of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the production of meme YouTube videos, which is odd because on the whole it wasn't the meme videos that were unhappy. And so the problem remained. Lots of the flat earthers were mean and most of them were miserable, even the ones that lived in Australia. This is the story of a video called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Fallacy, a wholly remarkable video. It is perhaps the most remarkable video ever to come out of the great publishing houses of Mitchell from Australia. Not only is it a wholly remarkable video, it is also a highly successful one, more popular than Simon Dan's Black Swan BS Omnibus. It's better selling than Fight the Flat Earth's 50 More Fallacies Used by Flat Earthers. And it's more controversial than Mr. Sensible's trilogy of video blockbusters, Where Nathan Oakley Went Wrong, Some More of Nathan Oakley's Greatest Mistakes, and Who Is This Nathan Oakley Person Anyway? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Fallacy has already supplanted the great Flat Earthica Galactica as the standard repository of all knowledge and wisdom, for though it has many omissions and contains much that is apocryphal, or at least wildly inaccurate, it scores over the older, more pedestrian work in two important respects. First, it is slightly cheaper, and secondly, it has the words "Stay Flat" inscribed in large, friendly crayon on its cover. The story of this remarkable video begins very simply. It begins with a "Good day, mate."
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Flat Earth School.
Also known as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Fallacy.
Today, here on Flat Earth School, we're going to be talking about globers getting caught in the sextant trap. And this is a trap that we have put down for the globers to be caught up in. And it is a trap that they cannot squirm out of.
Really, Mitch? I could have sworn it was myself who set a trap when I put out this video called "I Went Fishing, Caught a Flat Earther." I released a little video clip via Where's Wally. It was a baited hook. You bit it and did a response video. I think perhaps it is you that's wriggling.
Because this is the number one flat earth proof. It is the thing that has physically measured our beautiful flat earth here.
No, Mitch, I think you'll find that sextants don't measure the earth. They measure an angle of altitude of a star above the horizon.
And so let's get into another glober very, very caught in this trap. Probably the most caught, if you will. He has dedicated an entire video to being caught in this trap. It is none other than our old friend, Mr. Sensible.
No, Mitch, the video was dedicated to showing how you had bitten that baited hook and got everything wrong.
Now let's hear what he has to say about the sextant, and let's hear how desperate he is to get out of the sextant trap.
So when a fisherman carefully baits his hook and casts it into the water and a fish bites it, that's the fisherman caught in a trap, is it?
A sextant proves the globe. Yeah, I'm shaking my head too.
It proves it, Mitch, because a sextant is designed to work with a globe. You should listen to that guy. He is right, Mitch. It's designed to work with a globe. And I knew that you had no real understanding of how a sextant works, which is why I cast the baited hook. So what have you got to say about that then? At best, you would have disproved the radius of the Earth.
And I keep playing this over and over to show that he's not only begging the question, but he is knowingly and willingly lying to people. He knows there is no radius value, therefore there is no globe.
You're accusing me of begging the question fallacy and accusing me of willfully lying. Right, Mitch, we shall deal with this once and once only in this video. At best, what you have done, if that was all correct, at best you would have disproved the radius of the Earth. Not that it's not a globe. Not that refraction and so on doesn't exist. Well, what do you know? You cherry-picked from my quote. That is the fallacy of incomplete evidence, Mitch. I would say that you are a liar. You have just been shown to be a liar. Recently, Where's Wally, excellent channel, check it out, put a shout out to several creators to create some very short clips to add to a video of his, which I did as well. I added a little bit of bait for Mitchell from Australia, and he took it. Wait for the bait. So that, Mitch, is proof that it was I who set a trap. Let's have a look at it.
This takes the cake, what he's about to say. This is the premise where this guy, Mr. Sensible, he doesn't do his research. And now he's going to realise how devastating the sextant is to his globe Earth and how it absolutely proves flat Earth.
P.S. Mitch, when you are using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating your position. And that was the bait. I knew you would jump on it. You'd jump on me saying that you don't use triangulation because you had never heard of trilateration. You have no idea how sextant actually works. You did a full video trying to justify that it was triangulation, and I took it to bits in this video up here. It must have hurt Mitch, because shortly after you produced this stream, which I'm pulling to bits now, where you try and wriggle out of it. You try and justify your position. Now you realise you've been shown to be a total chuff nugget. Let's see what you got.
What's that, Mr. Sensible? Triangulation? You don't know how far you are? Using the Nautical Almanac, you know exactly how far you are from the GP of a star by knowing the angle that you're measuring. You know that flat baseline from the observer in that middle part where all three of those triangles meet. You are right there because you have just measured 3 different stars right there, and every single star. See that triangle? See the triangulation you're doing by shooting the angle of elevation to star 1? You've got 3 angles there that you can derive. First angle from the sextant to star 1. Second angle from the GP of star 1 to the flat baseline. And third angle from the star right up there at the vertex down to the GP and down to the observer. Triangulation, Mr. Sensible. You've got a known distance from the GP to the observer, and you've got 3 angles. That is literally the definition of triangulation. You do this 3 times, and you find your position on the Earth.
Cool, Mitch. Let's use triangles, geometry. So here you are. Let's have a look at the first triangle of yours to star 1. You're down at the bottom left. Let's call that position X. We've got an angle up to the star, and we've got a GP with the star at its zenith. So the GP with the star at its zenith is at 90 degrees. So that's one of our angles. You use your sextant at position X and sight or shoot star 1. Let's say that gives you 60 degrees. What do you do with that? Well, you consider your zenith, the point directly above your position. Deduct that 60 from that 90 degrees above you, it gives you 30. There you go, Mitch. You've got all the information that you can gain. You've got 90 degrees to the star, 60 degrees elevation of the star, 30 degrees off your zenith. Now solve it and tell us what the distance is between you and the star's GP. Go.
Let's go quickly back to that little diagram. Figure 3, by measuring the angles to 3 known stars, an observer knows his location. What are we doing? Star 1. Once again, from the observer point in the middle of there. When you're shooting star 1, you've got an angle to the star. You've got an angle from the star to the GP, and you've got an angle from the star to the observer. 3 angles and 1 known distance from the observer to the GP. Triangulation.
Okay, Mitch, let's try it your way. We've just taken a sextant reading on this star, S1. We've established it's 60 degrees above the horizon. That's 30 degrees off the zenith. 30 times 60 minutes of arc. That's 1800 minutes of arc around the curve, 1800 nautical miles from its GP. Brilliant. We then take readings on two more stars, S2 and S3, over there somewhere and over there somewhere. We choose stars that also happen to be also 60 degrees above the horizon, so each of those are 30 degrees from the zenith. That means we're 1800 nautical miles from a star over there, 1800 nautical miles from a star over there, and 1800 nautical miles from a star over there. Where are we? You have not triangulated your position. So where did the nautical miles come from? Well, a circle, or a great circle around the Earth, consists of 360 degrees. Each degree consists of 60 minutes. 1 minute is 1 nautical mile. Therefore, if you're measuring in nautical miles, you are assuming a globe.
Yeah, we don't have a globe. You are begging the question. We are not measuring any angles around a globe.
So where exactly are you getting the distance from the observer to the GP, Mitch? We've already seen that when you take the height of the star as sighted through the sextant at so many degrees above the horizon and using the 90 degrees of the star's GP, you can't calculate the triangle to give you your distance. I know the distance. If the star is at 60 degrees, then it's 30 degrees off the zenith and therefore 1800 nautical miles away because I'm using a globe. Where are you getting 1800 nautical miles from? The Nautical Almanac won't tell you that. The Nautical Almanac doesn't know where you are. It knows where the star's GP is at an exact moment in time. That's all. Now, if you're going to use the rule of thumb of 60 nautical miles to 1 degree, then you are assuming the globe because the definition of a nautical mile is 1 minute of arc. Now, in my example, we had 3 stars, each at 60 degrees elevation. Roughly there, and roughly there. We look up those stars in the almanac to find out their GPs at this moment in time. And that will give us 3 circles of equal altitude. We do something else with them, don't we, Mitch?
Yeah, I think Mr. Sensible's a bit confused about when we're actually using triangulation.
Wriggle, wriggle, Mitch. I'm going to get you, little fishy.
He's just about to go into trilateration when you use these 3 circles of equal altitude to find out where you are. But before you even get to that...
And that, Mitch, is why I set the baited hook. All you have done is gone on about triangulation in all your videos. Not once have you ever mentioned trilateration because you didn't even know what it was. You do not triangulate your position. You use trilateration.
He's just about to go into trilateration when you use these 3 circles of equal altitude to find out where you are. But before you even get to that, when you are shooting angles from the observer with the sextant, you've got an angle from the observer to the star. You've got an angle from the GP of the star to the observer, and you've got an angle from the star to the GP and the observer. 3 angles and 1 known distance from the observer to the GP. Triangulation.
So is that a concession I hear there, Mitch? Because I had said that when you're using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating your position. And that's what got you triggered, so you did the video, insisting that it's triangulating your position. Now you're saying, well, yeah, the last bit is trilateration, but the first bit is triangulation. Well, the problem is, Mitch, even the first bit isn't triangulation. You've got the angle of elevation, the angle from the zenith, you've got the angle of 90 degrees to from the GP to the star, but you don't have the distance between the observer and the GP because that's what you're trying to find out, unless you assume a globe at 60 nautical miles per degree. You don't know the height of the star, you don't know the distance of the star. You can't calculate any values, and you don't know where the GP is unless you look it up in the Nautical Almanac, which will give you longitude and latitude around a globe.
1 triangulation, 2 triangulation, 3 triangulation, and then you use that for trilateration. Mr. Sensible.
Yeah, it sounds like a concession.
Do you see your error yet? You first use triangulation and then you use trilateration, mate.
Or maybe not. He's doubling down on his stupid. And as Mitch is dealing double derp, let's have a look at what he says just after I tell him that you get a circle of altitude on a spherical Earth, being a 3D object. And as the Earth is a three-dimensional object, that gives you a circle of equal altitude.
Let's see what a three-dimensional object is. A sphere. And what are you saying? Is it a sphere of equal altitude, Mr. Sensible? A 3D object? No, it's a circle of equal altitude, a flat circle. A 2D object that only works on a flat Earth, mate. You seriously need to go back and learn geometry. Sphere, 3D. Is it a sphere of equal altitude? No, it's a circle of equal altitude. 2D, a nice flat circle on a flat Earth.
Well, let's have a look. Here's a glass. The rim of the glass is a circle. Here is a sphere. Yep. Seems to work, Mitch. That circle fits on the sphere. Really?
That only works on a flat Earth, mate. You seriously need to go back and learn geometry. It is glorious. It is the best time to be a flat Earth.
Is it? Well, I hate to think how hard it must have been for you guys when things were tough then.
And that is the conclusion to this presentation here on Mr. Sensible being caught in the sexton trap.
Yeah. When you're eating your crayons, Mitch, please make sure that you eat enough greens. Mitch, I'd fished you by saying that when you're using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating. You had produced this video in which you just rattled on and on and on about triangulation and did not once mention trilateration. Today, everyone has seen you wriggling around pretending that you knew what trilateration was and that you were talking about something else when you said triangulation. Well, a nice easy £100 for you, Mitch, if you can produce a YouTube timestamp link to one of your streams dated before this one, the 4th of November, then I will pay you £100 if that timestamp link points to you discussing, talking about, or even just mentioning the word trilateration. Okay? Mitch, rather than wriggling around when you're quite obviously caught, I suggest you take a leaf out of another Flat Earther's book, Mr. Brian's Logic. We were having an argument back and forth in comments. It doesn't matter what it was about right now, when all of a sudden Brian posted this. Mr. Sensible, you're correct. I'm mixing up my terms. I replied to him, thank you and all credit to you for this. That is the correct and laudable thing to do. In no way would I dream of criticising someone for an error when either they change their opinion based on evidence or, in this case, have simply slipped up and then acknowledged it. My respects, cheers, Mr. S. To which Brian replied, yep, I always admit when I'm wrong. There's no point in denying it. Good on you, Brian. Well done, and I honestly mean that. Mitch, perhaps you better actually do some learning, realise that you're wrong, and then step up like a man. So now you've not only been fished, Mitch, but also been gutted. How was it for you?
It is truly devastating.
Until next time, stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.